1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4. I'm alright. Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another Super Series Tuesday. And for today, we will be covering the second of 4 iconic horror franchises, and that is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street. A Nightmare on Elm Street was released in 1984. It was directed by Wes Craven, stars Heather Langenkamp, Johnny Depp, and Robert Englund. And the story goes, a group of teenagers who live on Elm Street are terrorized in their dreams by a burned man with a clawed glove. Only when they start showing up dead in reality do they soon come to realize that they may not just be dreams. So as you already know, A Nightmare on Elm Street is a classic at this point, absolutely iconic, along with Fred Krueger himself, and that is why it's being covered. I really enjoy this franchise, although like every other franchise in this whole slasher genre from the 80s, they just get worse and worse as they go, with little hints of okayness throughout them, but you can always trace it back to the original being glorious, and it is no different here. So to start out, the positives is going to be Nancy and Fred Krueger themselves, or Heather Langenkamp, as well as Robert Englund. Now Nancy is one of the best final girls in my mind. She is the one that actually does something about this. Some of them will fight back a little bit here and there, but Nancy goes all Home Alone, sets up traps around her house, and she just does absolutely everything in her power. Although sometimes the acting does get a little bit wonky. I think that's just overall because that's the way it was in the 80s, and everyone I believe has come to terms with that at this point. And now for Fred Krueger himself, Robert Englund. Nobody plays him better than Robert Englund. Sorry, Jackie Earle Haley, you tried, but you can't beat the original. And whether you know or not, if you're a big fan of this franchise, Fred does go through changes as the movies go on. His appearance changes ever so slightly, especially in the second one where he looks like a weird, wet, slippery kind of monstrosity. The only thing that changes the most is that he gets just much quippier and quippier. He's telling jokes all the time, yada yada, and sometimes they lead to enjoyable little chuckles. But for the most part, this OG Freddy from the original is the best because he is menacing and he is cynical. He will tell some jokes, but they're not meant to be funny for the audience. They're meant to be tormenting these teenagers and being basically like, haha, you're gonna die. But everything about Fred Krueger at this point is absolutely iconic, from his burned look to his clothing, his hat, his sweater, his clawed glove. Everything about Fred Krueger is iconic at this point, and he is arguably the best of the original slashers. I mean, you look at someone like Leatherface, doesn't say very much to anything. Jason, nothing. Michael Myers, nothing. Freddy just doesn't shut up. That's part of his charm, though. That's what makes him quite possibly the best in my mind. He is so iconic, and he's actually downright terrifying, but he has a personality to him which makes him just that much better in some cases. Next is the practical effects in this movie. You've probably seen countless shots from this movie as prime examples of good practical effects. You may not even have noticed it. First off, the gore in this, as you guys know, I'm a sucker for movies in the 80s or 90s. Why? Because they just use practical gore, and that is so much better than CGI nonsense. Of course, with CGI, you can do a bit more and show a bit more, but it doesn't always look so convincing. Practical effects is where it's at, and this movie does them greatly. Also, the shot in the beginning, with Freddy coming down the street with elongated arms stretched across the whole street, that practical effects. When he's coming through the wall, or the ceiling, I guess, it's kind of a slanted wall, pushing through, practical effects. A certain death through the movie when a character falls through a bed, a bunch of blood starts gushing up, practical effects. The tongue coming through the phone, practical effects. The practical effects in this movie are amazing. They still hold up very well today. Of course, you can notice things a little bit easier now, and there are some practical effects, like at the end of the movie where someone gets pulled through a window in a door. That stuff's kind of noticeable, not so great, but overall the practical effects are really something else in this movie. They took it a step further than any other slasher movie in my mind, especially at its time. The next point is the fact that this movie is actually genuinely scary. Even to this day, I still find this original movie to be pretty friggin' scary. I mean, just the idea alone, a guy who is burnt, who has 4 knives on a glove, and haunts your dreams, and when he kills you in your dreams, which he basically controls, he kills you in reality. I mean, that's downright scary. You look at some of the scenes in this movie, like when at one point when Nancy tries to run up their stairs, guess what? The stairs are now goop and her feet keep getting stuck. Or maybe she can't run as fast as she wants to, maybe the hallway keeps getting longer, and Freddy can literally just appear here, there, everywhere. I mean, that's terrifying. People look to their dreams and sleep, especially, as just a way to get away from everything. You just, okay, I'm done with the day, I'm gonna go take a nap, I'm gonna go to bed, I can't wait to go to sleep tonight. Imagine if you couldn't do that, because if you fall asleep, a guy's gonna kill you in your dreams and then you're dead in real real life. That's downright terrifying. That is such a genius idea, and it translated wonderfully over to the screen, and it still leads to one of the scariest premises and killers of all time. As well as just the downright disturbing imagery in this movie throughout the dreams, and even some not, because some of the people, when they die in their dreams, and then it shows how they die in real life, it's horrifying, it really is. And imagine waking up, you fall asleep in school, for instance, you go walking around, all of a sudden your friend that just got brutally murdered is in a body bag talking to you, coated in blood. That stuff is really messed up. It holds up very well today in those aspects. It is still haunting. Next is the score in this movie, and that is one of the aspects that does show its age a little bit, because it's kind of like weird techno and a lot of strings, and I don't find the audio is always that great, but I do find the score lends very nicely to this movie. The chase scenes, you really do start to feel it. Your adrenaline starts pumping, your skin starts crawling, as well as a lot of the moments where it's supposed to be very eerie and silent, like going through the boiler room, or down the streets in the middle of night with no one around but Mr. Fred Krueger himself. The score lends perfectly to these scenes. Maybe this score wouldn't hold up now in another movie, especially today's age, but with this movie and this score, they fit together like a glove. And next is the creative kills in this movie, because practically every kill in this movie is creative in some fashion or another, as you get to see it twice, basically. You get to see the character dying in their dreams, and then you get to see how that translates over to how they die in reality. It's not just a guy with a machete or a kitchen knife, it's a guy that kills you in your dreams, and then it comes out crazy on the other end, because it has to showcase in a realistic-ish manner. And now for the negatives. There are only two for this one. The first one is one that really bothers me, and that is the fact that this movie's ending is just too damn ambiguous for me. It really does just leave a lot to be desired, because you don't really know what's happening. I guess that was kind of the point, is for you to not know if it's reality or a dream when it ends, but the point is that the scene that transitions into the final scene, it just kind of abruptly ends, so you really don't know what's going on when it comes to the ending, and I think the real reason for that is that this movie was supposed to have a much different ending. Wes Craven wrote an ending for it, and of course, studio interference, they said, no. They were supposed to be a definite ending, a full-fledged, just that's it. One movie, one and done. Of course, the studio didn't want that. They wanted a whole franchise out of this sucker, so they said, no. We're gonna end it this way, you do whatever you want with the rest of the movie, but the movie is gonna leave room for sequels, and that's essentially what happened. But the leaving room for sequels isn't necessarily the worst part, it's just the fact that you really genuinely don't know what's going on. It's not like Inception ending where it's left up to wonder yourself with the dream and whatnot. No, it's really just you have no clue what's going on. And lastly is that this movie does show its age. Now that is to be expected, with it being as ambitious as it was, with having things set in dreams and in reality and using so much practical effects and so many different creative kills. The movie does show its cheesy side a little bit, especially compared to today's standards. Overall, guys, this is a horror great, and everybody knows it, from Fred Krueger to the movie itself to Nancy being the final girl. This movie is one of the greats and one of the most iconic horror movies of all time, and one of the biggest horror franchises of all time. Despite its few flaws, this movie is really enjoyable. You can watch it time and time again and always have a blast with it. And with that being said, guys, I'm going to be giving A Nightmare on Elm Street an 8 out of 10. So if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know. What are your thoughts on the original Nightmare on Elm Street? And be sure to hit me up on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Links will be in the description and at the end of the video. And be sure to find my Instagram page every Friday for the Fan Vote Friday. Week 3 of the Halloween Challenge is set to begin on October 19th. So make sure you are there and make sure you vote, because your vote counts, guys. That's the only way your favorite characters can win. This whole thing is with your vote, so make sure you vote. And as always, folks, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.